the score will be kept throughout the meet. The team with the most cumulative points at the end of all 6 events is the winner of the meet. Let's introduce your first event, the compulsory event.
The first event is the compulsory event. The compulsory event consists of 4 heats: acro heat, pyramid heat, toss heat, and tumbling. These skills for the compulsory event represent the basic skills of sport of acrobatics and tumbling. In this event, each team will execute the same skills for direct comparison. Each heat begins with a starting value of 10. The individuals will be looking for execution, body position, and stability of structures.
It's now time to begin the compulsory event. First up, the compulsory acro heat will be West Virginia State University.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Joe Breton Arena for today's matchup of Fairmont State University against West Virginia State University. First up, we'll have the compulsory acro, West Virginia State.
So something different this year that has changed. If you couldn't tell, if you joined us last week, so you're going to see a difference between West Virginia State and Fairmont State with the compulsory acro. Something that changed this year is teams that are still building have the choice to start at an 8.0 start value to where they have reduced elements within their comp acro instead of starting at that 10.0 value.
Yeah, it's something new for our, for those teams that are just getting started. West Virginia State is a newer program. I think this is their second year competing, so still building their roster, still getting comfortable with acrobatics and tumbling. So it's an opportunity for them to do those skills a little bit safer while they're still building their program and getting stronger at those skills. So you will see a little difference here. Now when Fairmont goes out, they'll be doing the 10.0 compulsory acro. So some things you'll want to look for during the compulsory acro is stability of the structure, body positioning by the tops, synchronization.
Those look about to be on time today.
Good timing there. Looking here that the tops are stacked over top of the bases. Good timing again. So a difference that you'll see there, West Virginia State went straight up, but for Fairmont they did a switch up.
And for the dismount, West Virginia State just came to a cradle and Fairmont State did a single twist down.
Yeah, so good start for both teams here in the compulsory acro.
Very clean.
With compulsory, all teams are going to perform identical skills set with a start value of that 10.0. In the compulsory, we have 4 heats: the acro, pyramid, toss, and tumbling. Like we said, each heat can score up to 10 points with a total possible score of 40. These skills in the compulsory really are like the building blocks of acrobatics and tumbling. So kind of those base skills that every team you will see. And then when we move in further into the heat is when it kind of comes the optional portion, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get there. while we wait for the scores, the next heat will be the compulsory pyramid heat, and first up will be West Virginia State.
Next, we have compulsory
They're going to have a start value of 10.0.
Yellow Jackets of West Virginia State.
And one thing you'll notice differently here, they are just putting one pyramid out compared to two pyramids. Again, that could be building the program, not having enough athletes, and just being able to perform it safely.
That looks pretty good.
Pretty good start,
A little bit of a low dismount and catch there. But other than that, the hold was pretty good. The up was pretty good
Solid.
as well.
Yeah, solid up. The Joe Retton Arena is getting pretty full. We still have some people coming in. Today is the alumni meet for Fairmont State, so I see some former
Alumni other than us.
in the crowd, which is nice. I'm excited to see some previous athletes that we competed with out after the meet. So here comes Fairmont in the compulsory pyramid. So again, like we mentioned, there will be two. This is the compulsory pyramid. Looking for the stability of the structure, synchronization.
Beautiful holds on those straddles.
Yes, very tight. You look for a solid catch.
Toes were a little down on that left side,
Yeah, I see that there.
but those were beautiful pyramids.
Yeah. You want to look for a nice high tight catch. You want the top to be kind of up more on your chest / shoulders. You don't want them being down low, kind of in your stomach. You want a nice high tight catch, absorbing in your knees and whatnot. So.
Our third heat of the compulsory event is the toss. First up, the compulsory toss will be West Virginia State.
All right, for the toss event for West Virginia State, they are going to start at another 8.0 start value.
We're looking for the tops to have a good reach, extended arms.
And for the bases to have their arms up the entire time.
So one thing you'll notice difference, like Haley mentioned, they're doing the 8.0 start value, which is a front flip, where you'll see Fairmont, they're going to be doing the 10.0 version, which is a back tuck. next will be Fairmont State in the compulsory toss. Again, we're looking for good synchronization. We're looking for the tops to have a good reach at the top. And we also, after they complete that flip, we want to see a good kick out from the top, almost kicking their back legs, or they're kicking their legs to the back wall. Very nice kick out.
That height between the two was almost dead on.
Yeah, that was a great execution by the Falcons there. That's what you want to see in those toss. A good ride, a nice kick out where they are kicking out almost at the back wall and then pulling their chest up real straight, so they're almost straight up and down in the air before going into that cradle with a good catch in the cradle. And the final heat of the compulsory event is going to be the tumbling heat. In Fairmont, or West Virginia State will be going up first for that.
The difference you will see is usually for compulsory tumbling, you have 8 athletes out there. West Virginia State will have 5. But they will be starting at the 10.0 start value.
And that's the nice thing with the sport, you know, for these newer programs that are getting started, they have the opportunity to kind of, you know, be a little safer, kind of get settled into the sport and be able to have that option to only be able to put 5 out compared to the 8 or whatnot, or maybe only one pyramid than the other.
The final heat of the compulsory event will be the tumbling heat. First up will be West Virginia State University.
So something you're looking for, you want to see the tumblers having their feet together, knees together, chest up when they land, and again, that overall synchronization.
And something you'll notice is a lot of the times before the standing, they do not take steps into that standing tumbling for a purpose, but here you will see a couple of them. It's nice overall.
Overall, nice start for West Virginia State in the compulsory tumbling.
A couple little hops and steps here.
It's always nerve-wracking, and I always think the tumbling events are always nerve-wracking, you know, because you are looking for that perfection of not stepping and being confident when you land and your knees are together and your chest is up. There's so many different elements that you're thinking about completing.
Absolutely.
While trying to remain calm out there.
Yeah, and with a lot of these athletes' backgrounds for cheerleading and gymnastics, now I'm not entirely sure for gymnastics, but I know cheerleading, you're not judged on if your feet are together, if your knees are together. You're only judged on if you're completing that skill.
Here we have Fairmont State in the compulsory tumbling. And you'll see they're not really lined up in a straight line, and that is totally fine. It's kind of a little safer to do that because when they get ready to compete this next skill right here, the toe touch back tuck, you don't want to be directly beside somebody because you could have the risk of hitting them when you do your toe touch. So you will see that they do kind of stagger a little bit there.
So I've seen just a couple of little hops. Tiny, I mean the tiniest of hops. But overall, they looked really good so far.
Great start for the Falcons. Here going to the round off handspring layout, looking for good body positionings. Overall, a pretty solid performance. Like you mentioned, a few of those hops, unfortunately, those will be deductions still, even though they're not taking those steps. A hop will still be considered a deduction.
I think a couple of the layouts might have been thrown back just like the slightest bit and not taking them completely up. But other than that, they didn't have many hops on those layouts.
That are lead standings. Let's introduce our next event.
The second event is the acro. This marks the beginning of the optional portion of the meet. Each team will compete with skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There will be between 2 and 4 athletes in a group on the floor in each of the 3 heats. Heat 1 has 5 elements, Heat 2 has 6 elements.
So while we wait for our scores, the next event is the acro event. This marks the beginning of the optional portion of the meet. Each team will compete skills previously chosen with different possible start values. There will be between 2 and 4 athletes on the floor in each of the 3 heats and as many as 8 in the synchronized heat. Heat 1 has 5 elements, Heat 2 has 6 elements and is synchronized, and Heat 3 has 7 elements. The start value is determined by the difficulty and combination of each skill. Each position must be held for at least 3 seconds. The officials will be looking for the body positioning at the top, stability from the base, and continuity of the skill.
In the acro heat, West Virginia State with a 6.200. Fairmont State with a 9.150. In the pyramid heat, West Virginia State with a 6.250. Fairmont State with a 9.500. In the toss heat, West Virginia State with a 6.450. Fairmont State with a 9.650. In the tumbling heat, West Virginia State with a 2.100. Fairmont State with an 8.150. For your event total, West Virginia State with a 21.00. And Fairmont State with a 36.450.
So I'll go ahead and read those scores back to you in case you weren't able to hear them. In the acro heat, West Virginia State with a 6.2 and Fairmont State with a 9.15. In the pyramid heat, West Virginia State 6.250, Fairmont State 9.5. In the toss heat, West Virginia State 6.45 and Fairmont State 9.65. In the tumbling heat, West Virginia State 2.10, Fairmont State 8.15. The event total, West Virginia State 21.0 and Fairmont State 36.450. So now we're headed into the acro event, with the first heat being the 5 element.
On West Virginia State, they will be starting at an 8.30 value.
So again, here is the optional part of the meet. So you'll see teams competing some different skills here. So you'll see some different start values based on the skills that they're doing.
Looks very nice.
A good start for West Virginia State in the acro event. So again, in that 5 element, that means there's 5 different skills that they're competing. Next, we have Fairmont State with a start value of 10.0 in the 5 element. Again, we're looking for the same things as the previous event. Stability of the structure. Good body control. Very nice for the Falcons.
That was very controlled.
Very good body positioning for top number 1, Chloe Smith.
I think I saw a little bit of a shuffle there with the feet.
Good layout.
Good landing.
She had good body positioning, had a good lift. And one thing you want to look for, those bases are not able to move their feet. Moving their feet will be a deduction.
They are allowed controlled steps, but they do have to have that in on the files the day before the meet.
Yeah, declare those steps. Like as you saw there, number 28, Alexis, she took that step when the inversion came down, and it was a controlled, declared step. You could see that she was actually going to do that. It wasn't like a shuffle or anything like that. So you are allowed to have that. But overall, a really good 5 element. Might be one of the best ones that I've seen so far this year for Fairmont State.
Next up in Heat 2 of the Acro event is going to be West Virginia State with a starting value of an 8.70. Okay. Sorry about that, everyone out there watching.
So this is newer. This started last year where the 6 element is actually a synchronized element. So this is something that wasn't previously done, but this is something new last year.
Different than when we were on the team.
Yes, we definitely didn't have anything like this.
It's honestly interesting because it's the same as the compulsory acro, but they get to do their own elements and find those 2 groups that are able to do the exact same things.
And I think the reason they kind of went to this is because we have a synchronized pyramid, we have a synchronized tossed. So it just kind of made sense that, for the elements, we need to have a synchronized element option too. So. Next, with a start value of 9.90, Fairmont State.
A little bit of a wobble there on the left side, but not too bad.
Another little body check there for the top. Good layouts with good body positioning and timing, so that's good. Going into a straddle popover. Looking for those straddles to be above parallel.
They might get dinged just a little bit on that right side. Her feet were just below parallel.
Looking for the tops to stay stacked here.
Good dismounts.
Yeah, a little shaky in the beginning. That 180 half around, that's a difficult skill to do.
It's always nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely a difficult skill, but They held it together pretty well. We will see a little deductions there because there was a few little body checks, little wobbles. While we wait for the scores, Heat 3 of this event is the 7 element, and West Virginia State will be going first. They have a start value of 8.7. So again, we'll be looking for 7 different skills completed in this event.
Heat 3 of the event will be the 7th element. Up first with a start value of 8.70, West Virginia State University.
An assisted toss to hands with a good layout off. Looks like she's about to go into a handstand.
She just had her hips over a little too far.
Those handstands are tricky to do. You do want to look for the skill to be held for at least 3 seconds.
And if the base's elbows are too low,
that can affect that handstand.
yes.
Good job for West Virginia State.
Next up, we will have Fairmont State with a start value of a 10.0.
Next, with a start value of 10, Fairmont State University.
Here's the 7 element for Fairmont State.
Toss to hands.
A good toss to hands by 5th-year senior Katie Cole.
Beautiful full off.
This element actually has 3 seniors in it. We have Katie, Reagan, and Briley. A little shaky there. That's definitely going to be some deductions, but she was able to regain her composure there and keep it in the air, which is great with a good
Straddle down.
yes.
Easy pop over. Other than the shakiness in that hand-in-hand,
Pretty
it
good.
was a pretty element. Her full off is just beautiful. Her body position.
She has good, her knees are together and they're locked out. That is something that the judges are looking for, is on that full off. Is she getting a good reach? Is she setting? Are her knees together? And when she lands, how is she landing? Are her feet together? Is her chest up? Those are all, there's so many different things that those judges are looking for.
And some may say too many.
Right? And then with our judges panel, you will be able to see we have 3 judges. One judge is solely focusing on the top and taking deductions for the top. And then the middle judge is just kind of looking for those neutral penalties, making sure that you're doing everything that you declared in your SV file. And then the other judge is looking at the bases, making sure that, how's their body positioning, are they moving or anything like that.
So while we're waiting for those scores, the next event is the pyramid event. So it will be the final event in the first half. Athletes will build 3 layers in a structure. The start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and the combination of the entry, structure, and dismount. The pyramid event has 3 different heats with different requirements for each heat. Heat 1 must have an inversion. Heat 2 must be a synchronized heat, and Heat 3 is an open heat. Key things the officials will be looking for are a hold by the top for 3 seconds, following the entry, stability of the structure, and a smooth dismount that ends with either a catch or a landing. So right now in the acro heat, for Heat 1 for West Virginia State University, they have a 7.150. Fairmont State with a 9.6. Heat 2, West Virginia with a 6.70. Fairmont State with an 8.90. Heat 3, West Virginia State with a 6.45. Fairmont State with a 9.1. Total for West Virginia is a 20.3 with an overall total of 41.3. Fairmont State with an acro total of 27.6 with an overall total of 64.05.
A great start for both teams before we head here into the pyramid event.
West Virginia State with a 6.450. Fairmont State with a 9.
And if I recall, I think for Fairmont State's 5 element, that is a season high score. That 9.6, so that's exciting to have a season high score here today for the 5 element.
That brings our meet total for West Virginia State 41.300, and for Fairmont State 64.050. It's now time for Pyramid Heat 1, the inversion pyramid. Up first, with a start value of 9.
So Pyramid Heat 1 will be the inversion pyramid with a start value of 9.50 will be West Virginia State. So here we're looking for the top to have an inverted body positioning, typically a handstand. It can be a high hand in hand or a low hand in hand. And it looks like West Virginia State is going to compete the low hand in hand. And again, we want to see if we can get it to hold for 3 seconds. Just about 2.5 there. And now again, not holding for 3 seconds. That's not a huge deduction, but a little bit of one.
Fairmont State will be up next to compete in the first heat, first event of the pyramid heat with a start value of a 10.0.
Here they're going to be competing the tall hand in hand. Number 7, top Zara Kristoff. The team refers to this as Mount Zara.
That's awesome.
They gave it that nickname, so at practice, instead of saying the inversion pyramid, they say it's time to warm up Mount Zara. Again, we're looking for the bases on the bottom to have good control here when they're putting up the top.
Very solid so far. Solid start.
And we want that good controlled body positioning. A little shaky on there from the mid layer, but regained control with a good hold. A pretty decent catch. The legs
bit of a
did
dip.
drop a little bit, so that is one thing. Now again, we're sitting kind of here on a side angle, so we can kind of see that a little bit better, where maybe the judges might not be able to see that straight on. But it did look like in that catch, the top's feet kind of dropped a little bit, so that could be a small deduction. it is sometimes hard to catch that.
Something from that high.
Yeah, it's coming down from so high, and that force sometimes it's kind of hard to catch and really stop it. But pretty good pyramid heat for Fairmont State.
West Virginia is up next with a starting value of 9.50.
West Virginia State University.
A good up that was synchronized here.
Oh, we have pikes.
We haven't seen this yet today.
A little bit of a timing issue there on the dismounts.
Boost skills were completed though, so that's good,
Yes.
but we will see a deduction there for synchronization. And pyramid heat 3 is the open pyramid. West Virginia, we haven't even got there yet. We haven't had Fairmont do their synchronized. I was zoned out there for a second. I'm ready to,
A little ahead of us.
I was ready to move on to the next thing. So, just kidding. We're waiting on Fairmont to do their synchronized pyramid, which they have a start value of a 10.0. I think we're going to see them do a straddle hold on a back bend.
I'm excited to see this one this week because they did have a fall last week.
Yeah, so excited to see how I'm sure this is something they probably practiced a lot this past week in their practice to build that confidence again to go out here. You know, it is kind of nerve-wracking if you have a fall the previous meet. You know, you want to go out there and do your best and get control and hit that again. So. Here comes Fairmont State in the synchronized pyramid with a 10.0 start value. So this is something we haven't seen yet today. You'll see the bottom, the bases, they're in a bridge. And the mid layer will be standing on their thighs. So this is not a skill that we've seen yet today. Looking for good synchronization on the way up.
Very good, very good.
A good clean come down with that twist down was very nice for the Falcons. I'm sure they are excited about that. You know, kind of probably breathe a little better throughout the meet knowing they conquered that skill.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if the judges get it or deduct on it, but there was a shift in that straddle. Just a little bit. It just shifted back. Just a small amount. Again, we are sitting from the side, so we might be able to see that better than the judges are.
And that's the neat thing, too. So, as you saw there, Fairmont positioned those pyramids at an angle. You really kind of have the opportunity to place it however you want. If you want to put it to the angle, if you want to put it straight on, that's kind of your choice.
All right, West Virginia State University with a starting value of a 10.0 in the last heat of the pyramid event.
So it looks like here West Virginia State's about to do a bridge as well. And their bridge is going to be facing forward again, kind of that team preference.
Good up.
Good
That's going
up.
to be a straddle pyramid.
Nice.
That's a nice hold. And a good 360 dismount. That was pretty. That was
very
pretty.
good for West Virginia State. And you can see that they are happy with their performance on that one. That was a good way for them to close out the pyramid event.
You know, I can only imagine being a second-year competing team, like how nerve-wracking it does have to be to get out there and do these skills that you really haven't been doing for that long.
Yeah, and it's really unique. You know, acrobatics and tumbling is something still so new that not many students, you know, they're coming from all different backgrounds. So on your team, you may have somebody who was a gymnast their whole life, or you might have somebody who was a cheerleader.
An acrobatic gymnast
Yeah,
now.
so you have a variety of athletes, and this is not really a skill or a sport that you've been doing your whole life compared to like cheerleading or gymnastics. So,
all right, Fairmont State with a starting value of a 10.0. This is going to be, I believe, a high pyramid again with a half up.
let's see, last week they
Scored
I think a
9.95.
Yeah, it was very solid last week, so I'm excited to see it today.
In warm-ups, it has seemed solid, so we will see.
A little forward,
bit of a shift.
but they're good control. Again, we're from the side, so you might not see that as much.
Beautiful catch. Beautiful, solid, high catch.
That's what you're looking for in that catch right there. You know, the top had a really good hollow body positioning. She was tight, and then the bases had a very nice high catch, used their legs, didn't drop below. So that concludes the pyramid event. We're going to take a break for halftime.
And then we will be back with the pyramid scores.
With the scores after halftime. So if you want to learn more about acrobatics and tumbling, the fast-growing collegiate sport for women, by visiting the NCATA.org. You'll find the 2025 meet schedule and results. Information about the NCATA members and links to the NCATA social media, as well as information about becoming a coach, a student athlete, or official in this exciting sport. You can visit the NCATA.org today. All right, everybody, we're going to take a break, and we'll see you back here soon. Welcome back to the Joe Retton Arena. The pyramid event scores are in. I'm going to go ahead and read those back in case you weren't able to hear them. In the inversion heat, West Virginia State 7.65 and Fairmont State 9.6. In the synchronized heat, West Virginia State 6.4, Fairmont State 9.6. In the open heat, West Virginia State 9.3, Fairmont State 9.75. Event total, West Virginia State 23.350, Fairmont State 28.950. Running total for the meet, West Virginia State 64.650 and Fairmont State 93.0. Now we're going to go into the toss event. In this event, you'll see 4 athletes toss a teammate into the air. The teammate tossed in the air, known as the top, will execute a flip or twist before being caught. There are 3 heats in this event: the 450 salto heat, the synchronized heat, and the open heat. The synchronized toss features 2 toss groups. These groups should look exactly alike and be in sync. The start value of the toss depends on the skill that the top executes in the air. Officials will be looking for execution by the top, height of the top when executing her skill, and the top's body positioning, and of course those high, tight catches by the base.
One thing I feel like that always gets overlooked in the tosses is the base's arms after they throw.
Yes, so that is one thing that you might not think about. Once the bases throw that top in the air, the bases
have to keep their arms up.
Arms up and locked. That might not be something you think about, but yeah, once you do that, you want them up and locked and ready to catch your top when they come back down. So that base judge on the judges panel is definitely going to be looking, you know, are they shuffling their feet? Because once you throw, you don't want to shuffle your feet underneath. So West Virginia State will be going first with the start value of 8.80 and the 450 salto toss.
First heat of the toss event will be the 450 salto toss. Up first with a start value of 8.80, West Virginia State University.
Now again with the tosses, you'll see they're facing to the side. You kind of have the option to face whichever way you want depending on the skill that you're doing. And since they're doing a tuck toss, when you get into the toss event, if you are competing a tuck, you do have to face it to the side. Now, if you're doing a layout, a full, a back double, you can face those whichever way you want. You can do it straight on to the side to an angle, but if you do that tuck toss in the toss event, it does have to be faced to the side.
Does it have to do with the kick out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the judges want to see that, are they able to see straight body positioning from the top? Yeah.
I never knew that. In all the years involved with the sport, never knew that.
Yeah, I don't know if that's something new or not, but I kind of just learned that within the past couple years. It was surprising to me because in compulsory toss, you do it facing straight on.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting that in the toss event, you have to turn it to the side. I'm not sure, but something interesting.
Fairmont State University.
Here we got Fairmont State in the 450 salto with a start value of 9.4. Again, we're looking for those bases to keep their arms up after they throw the top to have a good reach. And I think that was overall executed very well.
You want the fulls to be laid out completely within that rotation.
Sometimes it's hard coming through, like to pike.
Yes.
You know, the top wants to pike at their hips, which is difficult, and you really don't want to do that.
Especially if the toss doesn't have that height enough for the top to do the sweep through.
Yeah, sweep through. Sometimes it's out of habit. They're afraid they might not have enough height, so they do pike on their sweep through when they might necessarily not need to. But again, looking for that good body positioning, straight legs, no bent knees. Her arms are up.
Heat 2 of this event is the synchronized toss.
Heat 2 is the synchronized toss. Up first will be West Virginia State with an 8.65. So again, we'll have two groups out here.
Nice front layouts.
Yeah, those overall look pretty good. They were synchronized. Fairmont State will be next in the synchronized toss with a start value of 9.90. They'll be competing back doubles.
I believe these did pretty well last weekend as well.
Yeah, I think they did score pretty well last week. You know, back doubles sometimes are hard skill to do synchronized. So, you know, sometimes tops twist differently. So to kind of get them to match up and look synchronized together, it can be hard. Somebody might be more of a fast spinner where the other might be a little bit of a slower spinner.
Or if one top reaches all the way up and the other does not.
Does not, yeah. So
it's going to cause some major differences there.
Yeah, so it is hard. And you'll see here the tops that are about to compete this for Fairmont State. Asia has a cheerleading background, and Taylor was a gymnast. So two different
spins.
Yeah, two different type of spins and backgrounds.
Pretty.
Synchronized pretty well there.
The timing was pretty good. The height was just off by a little bit.
I would have liked to seen him just a tiny bit higher.
Yes.
You know, you can never have a toss be too high. You know, you're always going to be looking for that height. But overall, pretty good there for the Falcons.
Those catches were pretty solid there as well.
They seemed pleased with that performance. And I'm curious, if you look over on the Fairmont State sidelines, it looks like they must have this like spirit stick or something that they're carrying around. They got it kind of decked out in some maroon and
yeah.
white.
I know last weekend they had it in the yellow stand.
Yeah.
And they would take it out and start waving it around.
I'm gonna have to talk to some of the girls on the team to see what that's about. I've never seen that before. Maybe it's their lucky spirit stick. All right, looks like we're already going into the final heat of the toss event, which is the open toss. West Virginia State with a start value of 8.65. A good load in there.
Pretty front layout for Cat.
And a nice catch. A high, tight catch.
Not as crowded here today in the Joe Retton Arena.
Yeah, our crowd is a little smaller than we saw last week.
But they definitely still have some energy in them.
Yeah, I see some of our Fairmont fans. They got their pom-poms. And those signs, I think, does it say boom?
I think.
Have you seen them hold up signs?
I think so. They did something with it last week where they were going back and forth between the fans and the team.
Yeah, I think the sign says like 3 big booms or something like that.
They're like the superhero booms in the comics.
That's what it looks like, yeah.
All right, Fairmont State has a starting value with a 9.90. I believe it is a double full toss.
Yes, here we have number 2, Taylor Openlander as the top. She has beautiful body positioning, looking for that good high reach here from Taylor.
Beautiful reach, beautiful body positions.
Very nice.
The catch was just a little bouncy.
Yeah, to me, I would have liked to seen her. She was a little back in the catch.
Yeah.
It looked like the back spot kind of took a big hit, getting a lot of it, kind of a little bit.
She had a very fast flip. Her toes, her toe lift is beautiful. It just might have been a little too fast.
Yeah.
For that height. They had really good height that time.
Well, that already concludes the...
Oh, here we go.
There's the boom. There's a... I don't think our fans can see it the way the camera's angled, but yeah, we got all kind of parents with those big boom signs.
Yeah, there's some fans above. It looks like West Virginia fans right there in the middle, but you cannot see them.
Well, while we wait for our scores, we can go ahead and talk a little bit about the next event.
My favorite event, the tumbling event. So this event has 6 heats. The first 3 are going to be synchronized tumbling passes, a duo, trio, quad. So 2, 3, and then 4 athletes are going to be competing the same tumbling pass together in sync. The last 3 individual tumbling passes, the start value of each heat is determined by the difficulty and combination of the skills in each pass. Officials will be looking for synchronization in the first 3 heats, as well as the continuity of skills and acceleration of the pass, proper body position, starting skills, and the body position and controlled landing. In the first individual pass, you are going to see it is a front aerial pass, I believe.
Or the duo?
No, in the individual passes.
Oh, yeah, it's the aerial, I'm pretty sure.
It's the aerial pass where the athlete must complete a forward-moving skill. And the second individual heat is the 6 elements, so they will have 6 elements in that tumbling pass. And the last individual pass is going to be open, so they can choose whatever they want to do.
So our scores are in the 450 salto. West Virginia State 6.80, Fairmont State 8.850. In the synchronized heat, West Virginia State 7.15 and Fairmont State 9.05. In the open heat, West Virginia State 7.4 and Fairmont State 9.550. In the event total, West Virginia State 21.350, Fairmont State 27.450. So our meet total is West Virginia State 86.0 and Fairmont State 120.450.
So up next is going to be the duo pass for West Virginia State University, starting with an 8.0 is number 15, Alyssa Siebold, and number 28, Lillian Honecker.
And number 28, Lillian Honecker.
Those are pretty full.
Pretty fulls, and they were off time just the slightest bit, just the slightest bit, but a good start for West Virginia State.
Fairmont State is going to be next with a starting value of 9.25. Number 2, Taylor Oppenlander, and number 17, Asia Schaefer.
I'm pretty sure Taylor and Asia are going to be doing a whip through 1.5, if I recall correctly.
We did have a step off the mat last week.
We
so
did,
let's see
yeah.
if we have athletes staying on the mat today.
And one thing that you'll notice there, West Virginia State, when they started their duo, they started standing on the mat. And you'll notice here, Fairmont State, their athletes are starting off of the mat. It really just is the preference. You know, if you need to get a good run and you need more running room, you can start off the mat. It's really the athlete's preference.
With a start value of 9.25 for Fairmont State, number 2, Taylor Oppenlander, and number 17, Asia Schaefer.
Good timing, but there's that step off the mat again, unfortunately.
I know.
And that will be a deduction if you do step off the mat. It's nothing major, but, you know, sometimes it's hard getting your positioning. Where do you want to start? You got a lot of force, a lot of power coming out of your tumbling, so sometimes it is kind of hard
especially
to control that.
Especially how they both started on the sidelines, having to step off that mat and then back onto the big mat makes it very difficult to time that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, those passes were beautiful.
Yeah, timed really good.
Feet were together.
Good body positioning, so sometimes it's, you know, that deduction's not too big. Now, one thing you will see when you land the skill, they are allowed to take one controlled step. Again, if that's declared in your SV file. So that was a pretty fast score, so we're already moving on to the trio.
For West Virginia State, number 9, Kinley Stanley, and number 31, Sydney Weiss.
So for West Virginia State, instead of having 3 athletes during this event, they are going to only have 2. Sometimes that's due to only having 2 athletes that can throw it. In their case, they did have an athlete that had an injury earlier this week. And let me say that those Arabians were beautiful.
And that was timed really well together.
Yes. So that was number 9, Kinley Stanley, and number 31, Sydney Weiss, I believe.
Yeah, good timing on that trio pass for West Virginia State.
I always love to see Arabian passes.
I know, because Arabian is a difficult skill to do on a dead mat, you know. A lot of these athletes come from a background of tumbling on a spring floor, and that is a huge difference from that spring floor down to the dead mat.
The Arabians, you know, they're fun to throw, but on dead mat, it is such a blind landing, having to tumble out of that, and it makes it a little scary.
Yeah.
For Fairmont State, with a 9.55, we have number 5, Katie Cole, number 11, Ava Nagata, and number 21, Riley Vinson.
This is one of my favorite tumbling passes from Fairmont. All 3 of these athletes are really talented. Good timing, good reach out. We had one little mishap there.
That will unfortunately be
a pretty significant deduction. And as you will see, the middle judge is putting up a red flag, meaning there was a mistake, and the skill wasn't completed executedly all the way. Hate to see that happen there for the Falcons, but it's all right. It's all about how, you know, you kind of recover as a team.
Mistakes happen.
Yep, they're bound to happen. Their round-off handspring 1.5 step out that, that was timed really nice.
It was, and they were really pretty too. They'll get a deduction for missing elements in that.
Yeah.
I think she just came out a little too short out of that 1.5.
Yeah. Like a little back, sometimes that's hard because you want to get a good reach when you come out of that 1.5 into your...
And almost be completely over, you want your chest over yourself.
Yeah.
So next up for the quad pass for West Virginia State University is going to be number 1, McKenna Huss, number 2, Morgan Webb, number 31, Sydney Ways, and number 14, Zoe Barr. So in West Virginia's quad, you are going to see number 31, Sydney Ways. She did compete in the trio pass as well. Usually you don't see that. But that could be something new, or you might have a certain amount of deductions you have to take for that.
If they maybe just don't have enough athletes, so they're taking maybe that deduction. Because typically the athlete can compete in the duo, trio, or quad. Only one of those, but then they can also do an individual. But they can't do more than one of the duo, trio, quad. We'll have to fact check that because I'm not positive.
Pretty layouts.
Definitely some timing issues there.
All right, Fairmont State is going to be next with a starting value of 8.75. You have number 1, Chloe Smith, number 7, Zara Kristoff, number 27, Madeline Walker, and number 33, Emily Jane. I'm going to butcher that last name, so Haley, I'm going to need some help.
I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name either, so I know she goes by EJ, so EJ, we're sorry. We're pronouncing your last name wrong.
I apologize. Vashleski. I like that.
We'll be seeing Fairmont here compete round off back handspring 1.5s. I'm really excited to see number 27, Madeline Walker, in this. She kind of struggled with this skill last year, this 1.5, but this year, here she is competing it, and she does it in team routine too. So very proud of her.
Good timing.
Yeah, very good timing for
really
Fairmont
pretty.
State. A way for them to, kind of pick it up. After that trio having that mistake, sometimes can be kind of put extra pressure on the next group that goes out to perform well, and they did.
Those landings were very controlled as well.
Yeah, coming out of 1.5 can kind of be hard.
There's the boom.
There's the boom again.
Here comes the boom.
I guess that's what we got going on here. Hey, I love to see it. I love, anytime that we can get the crowd involved,
It's the best.
it's definitely fun to have that crowd involved. Keep that energy up,
So last week for Fairmont's passes, for duo it was a 7.15, duo was an 8, and quad was a 7.55. So we'll have to see if they can beat those scores this week. Number 15, Alyssa Siebold with an 8.35 for West Virginia State.
In the aerial pass. Again, you see that front tumbling there. A very nice pass
That was pretty.
by number 15.
Her feet were together, I believe,
Yeah.
that entire time. And
Yeah.
very stretched out. I like it. I like to see it.
And one thing you'll notice here again, kind of going back to what we talked about in the toss event, for the tumbling event, in the individual passes, the athlete is allowed to start wherever they want. They're allowed to start from the back corner, or they can come across the side of the mat. Again, really their preference of what they want to do, how much running space they might need.
Now, I know you all couldn't see West Virginia State, but for Fairmont State, number 17, Asia Schaefer in the aerial pass, she is going to be starting back there in the corner. You can see her standing back to the right. Her starting total is going to be a 9.75.
I'm pretty sure we're going to see 2 whips through to 1.5 here for Asia. 2 or 3, I can't recall. This is a new pass for her this year. This is her first year competing this pass.
That's exciting.
And just overall having an individual pass. She did not have an individual pass last year, so that's exciting for her.
That was really pretty.
That was a good start for Asia. That was that 2 whips through to 1.5.
I know one of their passes did step off last week, and I can't remember if it was hers or not.
I can't remember which one it was either. If it was her or Zara. But she was able to stay on the mat that time, which is good.
Lots of power in those whips.
Yeah, one thing you're wanting to look for in those skills are you're wanting your whips to remain the same height, but then after you complete your back handspring, you want to see that 1.5 really kind of pop up. You don't want everything to be the same height. You want to see that whip, handspring, then a good lift on that 1.5 before you land.
Yes. And you want to see that continuity in those whips as well.
Yes, that's definitely something that the judges are looking for in the tumbling event.
So West Virginia State, number 28, Lillian Honecker with a 7.5.
Now you'll notice there was no step after she landed. So when you technically land a layout, you're not allowed to take a step. You have to land that skill with your feet together, which is very hard to do.
Unless it's a layout step out?
Oh, unless it's a layout step out, yeah. We don't really see people do that many. Like when we competed, you saw that,
saw them a lot.
But now you kind of don't see that anymore.
Everyone likes twisting elements at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
That's something new. I guess it has been a few years, you know.
I know for the layout step-out passes, you always saw something hard thrown before it.
Yeah. And you know, that could be because every couple of years, the NCATA will pick a heat to evaluate, maybe restructure or rescore. Tumbling was rescored going into this season. Some changes in start values and whatnot for tumbling, so you know maybe that's why we're not seeing that. Might be a very low start value, so it's not worth it for teams to do.
No. All right, number 7, Zara Kristoff for the 6-element pass with a starting value of 9.65. I believe we're going to see a punch front through to 1.5 step out.
Punch front through to 1.5. Yeah, that's what she does.
Oh, whip to a 1.5. I'm sorry.
Good control there. You know, when she landed that 1.5, you could tell her feet were really in front of her.
Her one foot did slide a little bit. She will have a little bit of a deduction.
Yeah, a little deduction there on the landing, but very good execution for Zara.
Lots of power coming out of that punch front. You always love to see that because punch fronts on dead mat might be one of the hardest skills to throw.
And what's even more impressive is Zara is recovered from an Achilles injury. So to be out there tumbling after having an Achilles injury, you know, you don't see that too often. A lot of times those Achilles injuries can kind of be career-ending injuries.
Yeah.
So to see her, you know, back here tumbling, having an individual pass after that, I mean, that just really speaks to how hard of a worker she is.
So West Virginia State is going to be up next for the open tumbling pass, which will be the last. These are going to be the last 2 passes to close out the tumbling heat. So we have number 9, Kinley Stanley, with an 8.60 starting value.
8.60 for West Virginia State, number 9, Kinley Stanley.
Wow, that Arabian was beautiful. That height.
A beautiful pass.
Yeah.
Good body positioning, good reach. She should be proud of that performance. That was really good.
Absolutely.
Look at the fans. The fans are really kind of dancing. They're having fun with this music playing right now.
They've got the pom-poms out. You know, it might be, we might have throwbacks because of the alumni meet.
Maybe some throwback songs going in there.
So for Fairmont State, it's going to be one of their 5th years. Number 5, Katie Cole, with a starting value of a 9.95.
You know, Katie is just such a talented athlete, really all around. You'll see her as a tumbler. She's also a top. She's also a front spot in a basket toss. Well, not a basket toss, but a toss. You know, just a really versatile athlete.
Absolutely.
Beautiful come out. Beautiful pass by number 5, Katie Cole.
I think her height is what makes her tumbling even prettier.
Yeah.
Because having that height makes you be able to lengthen all of those skills. I mean, her step out of that 1.5 was beautiful. That whip into her ending skill of a full.
She just has beautiful lines. You know, she's so tall.
And I believe her feet were glued that entire time.
I'm excited to see what she scores on that pass because that was gorgeous.
Yeah. For the individual passes, for the aerial pass, they did get a 9.175 last weekend, an 8.925 for the 6th element, and a 9.425 on that last pass. So we'll have to see if they can beat those scores from last week.
Kind of while we wait for our scores, we'll talk a little bit about the team event. So the team event will be next. It kind of encompasses everything that you've watched in the first 5 events. The team event features up to 24 athletes on the floor at one time performing skills in acro, toss, pyramid, and tumbling in a routine set to music. Each routine contains required skills and optional skills. The start value is based on the difficulty of the skills selected to fulfill the requirements. Execution deductions are the same in this event as the previous events. Larger deductions are applied if an athlete falls or does not complete the skill. It's very fast-paced, so just keep your eyes on the mat. So here we got the scores. In the duo heat, we have West Virginia State 6.40, Fairmont State 7.85. In the trio heat, West Virginia State 5.0, Fairmont State 6.80. In the quad heat, West Virginia State 3.650, Fairmont State 7.650. In the aerial heat, West Virginia State 7.425 and Fairmont State 9.125. In the 6th element heat, West Virginia State in the 6.6 element heat, 6.275 and Fairmont State 9.05. In the open heat, West Virginia State 8.175, Fairmont State 9.725, which I think might be a career high or a season high for that. The event total for West Virginia State 36.925, Fairmont State 50.20. That brings our meet total. West Virginia State 122.925 and Fairmont State 170.650. So again, like I mentioned, for Katie in that open heat, she scored a 9.725, which I think might be a season high score.
Yeah, and most of their tumbling scores actually beat last week.
Improved from last week, which you want to see that. You know, as your season goes on, you want to keep getting higher scores. You know, that is something so important, and it comes down to hoping that you can qualify for different things for nationals. So at the same time,
West Virginia State's coming up for team routine, and their total score is going to be an 88.4. Starting out with some standing tumbling. And it looks like they're going to go into their pyramid section.
Again, this is a fast-paced event. Still looking for all those same things that we looked for in the beginning. Looking for synchronization, timing, execution of the skill.
I don't know know if something happened with their middle pyramid.
I wonder if maybe that was the pyramid where the athlete that got hurt in practice, maybe they weren't able to finish it because they're missing that athlete.
Yes, I mean, it looks like they have all the athletes.
Here we're stepping into some acro.
Some pikes, you don't see those often.
No, that's nice. Pretty well there.
With half downs.
Gonna go into some running tumbling here. Some pretty fools.
Another pretty full and some other pretty fulls. You know, their fulls look really good.
Yeah, that number 9 has a beautiful full.
Yeah. Number 15 and 28, I believe, are just going at it with multiple.
They're tumbling and tumbling and tumbling.
Now, something with the team routine is not all of their acro events have to be together and be in sync because each judge does only judge 3 panels.
Yeah, so you can have, like you saw there, those 2 on the right-hand side were synchronized while a different acro skill was going on over here on the left side of the mat. That's not uncommon. Another pyramid going up.
I believe it is a hand-in-hand. Lots of standing tumbling.
And finishing out here with the dance.
It was a nice routine.
A good performance by West Virginia State in the team event. You know, the team event's it's a hard event. You know, after competing that whole meet, you know, your body's tired, putting in all those skills to go out there. But it's definitely always a crowd favorite.
Absolutely.
Anybody that you talk to, they always love the team event because it's fast-paced, it's high energy.
There's music.
It's fun,
and
there's a lot going on.
And it basically has the entire team out on the mat. Mm-hmm. And I mean, these end up being your best friends on the mat with you, so it's always fun.
Yeah, you just want to go out there and have a good time, and that's one thing you'll definitely notice here when Fairmont State goes out on the mat. You can just see, like, they're working very hard, but they're having so much fun while doing it. You know, watching, they're always walking by, they're high-fiving one another, you know, getting everybody hyped up, giving them those words of encouragement, like, hey, you can do this, you know, going into your tumbling. So it's always fun to watch. And then, of course, we have our signature. You got Riley and Azaria there in the middle getting ready to do their dance before they go in here to team event. Getting everybody hyped up. It's always fun, you know. I would love to be back in that little huddle right there, listening to what they're saying.
Oh, yeah.
You know, really kind of giving some words of encouragement, pumping each other up.
I don't even remember what we did.
I don't either.
I know we had a chant.
I think every year we maybe had like a different chant.
Yeah.
And then we always had, you know, a senior would maybe provide some words of encouragement, reminding like, hey, you know, you can do this.
Yeah, that absolutely was not me. I would cry every single time we were back there for my senior year.
I'd be back there focused, like knowing, you know, hey, this is what I have to do. Because there is a lot of pressure.
And there's a lot that goes into team.
There is.
You have to have all these acro elements, pyramid, toss, running tumbling, standing tumbling. The dance is optional. You don't have to do the dance, but every team does it because it is a bunch of fun.
It's a fun little way to end it. You know, there's a certain amount of tumbling passes that you have. You have to have a certain amount of tosses, a certain amount of pyramids. So Fairmont State, they have a start value of 102.91.
They did score an 80 last weekend, so hopefully we can get that up today.
Yeah, I'm hoping to see that a little higher. I was a little disappointed last week with an 80.
Yeah.
I personally thought their performance was a little better than an 80. But, you know, I'm not a judge. I'm just just sitting here watching, but
We see it all, but we don't see it in the judges' eyes.
yeah, so I am excited to see how they do here today. Hopefully, you know, I would love to see them score in the 90s today.
2.91. Welcome to the floor, your Fairmont State Fighting Falcons.
The Fairmont, you know, ritual, always starting out with the pyramids. How many years? We always start out strong with pyramids.
Well, let's see. It's 2025. We've been out of school for about 8 or 9 years.
8 or 9 years, and they keep doing the pyramids. It's never failed us, right?
Absolutely not. Starting out with some strong 1.5s there.
So one thing to kind of point out, you're not allowed to tumble if a pyramid or a toss is in the air.
Or acro.
Yeah, or acro. You can't tumble. So you see those went across the front tumbling, and then the pyramids went up. Good holds on the pyramid right there. Looking for a synchronized come down.
There you go. Okay. Those dismounts were nice, and the height on those straddles were pretty good as well.
Yeah, good start.
Nice cartwheel full.
Going into some back doubles here. Got some acro over on the side.
Nice layout.
Yeah, good. That was good. I think last week those might have been off time a little bit, so today they look good.
All right, into the standing section.
And again, you want these passes to be on time because you have to have so many synchronized passes. So even if you complete the skill and it's not synchronized, you can get a deduction. So far, synchronization's looking good.
Lots of strong standing tumblers.
Yeah, that is something, you know, that is very hard. Standing tumbling is.
Into some acro.
We're going to see a straddle pop over here. Good, you're looking for the tops to stay stacked with a good body positioning, tight knees. With a good landing with their chest up here. One little shuffle right there in the front on the catch there of the pop off, but
A little too much power on that pop off.
now
Nice
we're going into some
1.5.
tumbling here. Again, continuing looking for that synchronization, good landings. We did have one.
a fall and a step off from that, just one.
That will be a significant deduction. A good 1.5 here. All right, little difficult landing there for that tumbling pass.
Tosses. Pretty fulls.
And here they're finishing to the dance. I think an overall pretty good performance by the Falcons. We saw a few little mistakes, that we will see those deductions. But still, you know, great energy here. And I think overall they look pretty happy with that performance. Just a few things here and there.
Yeah, a little bit of timing.
Would you know that sometimes...
Just for tumbling, though.
Yeah, just for tumbling. Overall, acros and pyramids and tosses look strong. You know, that tumbling.
Floor for a group photo once our event concludes. Once again, will all Fairmont State Acrobatics and Tumbling alumni please make your way to the floor for a group photo. Thank you.
And we will be right back to announce the team scores. just to remind all of our fans out there, the total scores right now, West Virginia State with 122.925 and Fairmont State with 170.650.
I did just want to mention, if any of our listeners today, this past Thursday was Fairmont State's annual Day of Giving event, and the Fairmont State Acrobatics and Tumbling team raised over $11,000 for their program, which is awesome. So if anybody on here listening today took part in that, donated, a big thank you so much. That really helps our student athletes just continue to grow our program, whether that's buying new equipment, new uniforms, providing for travel to go to different events. So again, if any of our listeners today participated in that and donated, I just want to thank you so much for your support of the Fairmont State Acrobatics and Tumbling team. All right, our scores are in for the team event. We have West Virginia State with a 63.090, Fairmont State with an 87.260, bringing the meet total, West Virginia State 186.015, and Fairmont State with a meet total of 257.910. A great meet by both teams today.